seem to reflect the reality that he's not in charge anymore. Hallelujah. What does that mean to you, Charles? What does that say to you, Charles, as a prosecutor? And what does it say to you, Sue, as someone who's covered defendants in high-profile cases, when this is the takeaway, that for the first time you have a defendant who's like, oh, crap?
Well, Donald Trump is going to do, as a former prosecutor, he's going to do more work for me than I could ever do in terms of what I'm going to do as a lawyer. And part of the reason for that is just what we were talking about. He can't control himself. He doesn't know better in terms of being able to present himself in front of a jury that's going to be in any way, shape, or form likable or presentable. The other side, Michael, that's underlying this is that Donald Trump is not used to being in spaces where there are narratives that are advanced about him that he cannot counteract. And that's exactly why he has so much trouble with this gag order, because there are things that are being said about him, and he feels as if his hands are tied, and he cannot stand that feeling. Not to mention, I joked about it at the beginning of last segment, but the truth is, trial is a very long, very arduous, very exhausting process. For someone of his age, this is a lot of stress to deal with, which is why I fully expect, regardless of what happens with Judge Marchand's ruling this week, he is going to pop. This man is going to crack. This man is going to violate this gag order in grand fashion in front of the media, and I think it's going to come sooner than later, because this is simply not a position that he's used to being in. And if I'm the prosecutor on this case, if I'm Alvin Bragg or any of his assistants, I'm just going to sit back and let it happen.
I think Charles said something really important, which is that he's lost control of the narrative on this. And the other thing that I think is important from the juror point of view, and I've interviewed a lot of jurors after trials. We get a hold of them and we want to see, what they thought, what they saw. They pay a lot of attention to the person in the box. Yeah. And I think his demeanor, he's falling asleep. They notice it. Does that become a deciding factor? No, but these are all inputs that jurors pay attention to. And, Monday he nodded off. It was probably the most dramatic of his, sometimes he's resting his eyes. The courtroom was very hot on Monday. It's now pretty cold. He's still having trouble keeping awake and alert. Jurors notice all of that. They notice the body language. They notice the size. It all builds into what they think about him as they listen to the evidence. He's a former president. They're going to have eyes on him. I mean, they we could tell from pool reports they were very focused on him when they came into the room, and they will be for the entire trial. This stuff matters.
It matters, yes it is. And accountability is, you know what? Suzanne Craig, thank you very much. Charles, we'll let you to stick around, my friend. We have a bit more we want to discuss with you as the Supreme Court's conservative majority seems skeptical about the Justice Department.